One of the best things about the internet is it allows us to meet people that we would have never met before. And Vilma Selage, today's guest, falls into that cat. I would have never met Vilma without the church, without the internet. And my life is better for having Vilma in my life. I met her almost a year ago. She's a member of my Patreon. That's not why she's on here. She's on here because she's a badass motherfucker, Marine. But she was the first person ever to join me for my walks, and I do usually four workouts a week, and I've spent close to 100 hours with her over the past year, and I never met Vilma before, but slowly with her and then Brad, I found out that they are both Marines, and Brad is another member of the Patreon. He will be on another episode in the future. This week is just Vilma, but I'm so happy to introduce you to Vilma because not only is she a Marine, she's one of the nicest people I've ever met. She spends literally her life is college and volunteering. And she eats too much fruit. That's an inside joke between us. She's one of those people who eats fruit for fun, which is outrageous. But she volunteers at her church. She volunteers at like a food delivery. She's just a very sweet person, and I can't relate at all to the selflessness that she has, and everyone who I guess no matter what, I guess maybe some countries aren't on the list, but anyone who's willing to put themselves in that sort of danger, whether it's the military, police, firefighters, school bus drivers, like around those monsters, I can't imagine what that would take. And spending time with Vilma over the past year, I've heard little bits and stories, and I wanted to get the point of view of someone that I don't think we get to hear a lot from. It's always in the news about the military and what's going on and political things, but very rarely, at least personally, have I heard from the people who were actually there in the military. I have two cousins who were in the Air Force. I've had people I went to school with be in the military. But it's, like I said at the beginning, it's a completely foreign idea to me. It would be a nightmare for me. I don't think I would last. And I don't have what Vilma has. And there's no better place I want to start because Vilma hosts her own podcast called Life of a Veteran. If you have anyone in your life who is a veteran, if you're a veteran, if you're active duty, if you're thinking about joining the military, or if you just want to hear badass stories, Vilma talks with her friends and other veterans every week, and it's an amazing podcast. And I wanted to highlight people that normally they get talked about, and their lives are impacted by random decisions, but you don't often get to hear from the people who are actually doing all of the hard work. So thank you very much to Vilma for coming on. Thank you for watching and listening. Thank you to all of our service members. And I'm very happy to introduce you to, again, our sponsor for this week because they're a veteran-owned company. And I think there's no one I would rather have sponsoring this week's episode of the What Was I Thinking podcast, and that is Sheath Underwear. Sheath sent me their underwear. They're great for any guy, anyone with a penis, because I don't want to misgender someone. If you have a penis, or if you have someone in your life who has a penis, Sheath Underwear is for you. It has 2 pouches. It's supportive and soft. It feels great when you're working out. Nothing's flopping around. It makes it look great. Whoever you want to like how you look in underwear, that's who's they're gonna love it. They're gonna buy you a pair for every day of the week. It's the only underwear you're gonna wear. Sheath Underwear is an amazing company, and like I said, not only are they an American-made company, but they are a veteran-owned company. Robert Patton is the owner of Sheath, and he came up with the idea on his second tour in Iraq. Do me a favor. just go to sheathunderwear.com. Check out everything they have. They have other products. They have shirts. They have sweatshirts. You're not going to be sorry that you went to Sheath. You're going to be so happy. They're a great company. And if you have any problem, every order comes with a Sheath Underwear 100% money back guarantee. Go to sheathunderwear.com and use promo code Syatt. That's Sheath Underwear promo code Syatt to get 20% off of your first order. Do me a favor. Thank Vilma for coming on, and thank Sheath Underwear. 2 veterans in my life. Sheathunderwear.com, promo code Syatt. Awesome. Thank you so much to Sheath, and thank you again to Vilma of the Life of a Veteran podcast for coming on. Take it away, Lee and Vilma, from 2 days ago. I don't want to start off with too dark, and it's I love God, Vilma. I love your smile. And so I want to start off basically from the beginning, because you're from a military family, right?
Yes.
So what is who was in the military in your family?
So my dad was in the Navy. My grandfather was in the Marine Corps. I had an uncle actually in the Marine Corps as well. So kind of started with my dad, you know what I mean? Like for myself, you know.
And what, because I like the only person in my, I think, entire family, at least on my mom's side, I should have asked her before I did this. I remember as a kid that he was in the band in the Army. My grandfather. I'm not sure if that's true or if that's just something I'm making up. But I have 2 cousins who are in the Air Force, or actually only one now, but both were in the Air Force. But I come from a very long line of like soft, like scaredy cats. And I can't. It wasn't like it was ever like you're not allowed to join the military and we hate the Army, but it was just like something that I never even considered. It just doesn't seem like anything I'd be able to handle. What was like your view of the military? Like, was your dad in it when you were a kid, or was he already out?
He was actually in it when I was a kid. So he got out thinking like 2001, so like I was about 10 years old when he retired. So yeah, it was just more of like it was, like I felt like I had no choice, honestly. I felt like it was like the family business, you know what I mean? So it
Okay.
to me it was more of like, I've always been a person of circumstances, it feels like. Um so it was more, to me it was more of like a need out of necessity, to help me get out of, like, I'm not saying like I grew up I was definitely like middle class. I mean, like lower middle class for sure, but I mean, like definitely middle class for sure. And but the military definitely it gives you a foot up in life. You know what I mean? So and I had no other choice. It felt like.
Well, I want to trying to decide which way to go with this, because it definitely does give you a heads up, and I think we'll get back to that. But I'm surprised to hear, because you and I want to give a shout out to Brad. He's also one of our buddies on the Patreon who's also Marine, and I will have Brad on here separately. Brad drives a truck and is busy during the day, so I wanted to highlight Vilma first. But Brad is hysterical and will be a great podcast guest. But I'm surprised to hear you say that you felt like you didn't have a choice. I don't. To me, in our talking, it doesn't sound like you regret going into the Marines.
Oh no.
Okay. So when you say like you didn't have a choice, like what do you mean by that?
So like I graduated in 2009 and whatnot, and it was during like like the recession and whatever, and I got uh I got laid off. Once like a week before I graduated, I got laid off, and it was pretty much me against someone that had way more experience than me, and that had like I had like mortgage and bills, so they pretty much laid off anyone that was single and like living at home, because I went to trade school. So I honestly I just wanted to be a welder, and the recession happened and I was working at this nursing home as a dishwasher because I just couldn't find any work as a welder. I didn't have enough experience, and it was honestly it was super hard, and the thing is that my dad uh honestly, he didn't understand it because he retired out of the military, so he never really faced any hardship like this, really, for the most part. You know what I mean? So it, like where it's like he, it's a little, like it was a little different in a sense, during his day. But
Right.
you
And
know
I
what?
I know you're in college now.
Yes.
What was there a reason why you didn't want to go to college back then?
Um, it's not that I didn't have the opportunity. I didn't know what I would do in college, and the thing is, though, too, I have I noticed I was having issues reading. Like there, like pretty much it was just more of like the comprehension part of college where it's like I'm not dyslexic, but like it's
You
it
might have
just
learning disabilities.
I have a learning disability, you know what I mean? So it was, like it's hard.
Right,
Um
absolutely.
and I didn't know that, you know what I mean? It was never caught, so
Right.
I went
No,
to trade school, so that's why I just knew something was wrong. So I just instinctively went to, a trade school, and I just figured, I don't know, that was it.
right. And you know what I'm 33 and going through like a career change and like thinking like kind of like starting not over but like starting new like a new path. And this is actually what I was going to get into when I like was trying to decide which way to get into, because like my cousins are very similar to you. My cousins, their mother worked very hard their whole life, but not like super high paying jobs, and they lived in Orlando. And my one cousin was, he worked at the airport as I think a baggage handler, I think, and he joined the Air Force first and started off as a mechanic and then retrained. And I don't know exactly what the title is, and maybe I should get him on. We haven't talked in years. Um, but right now he retrained as the person who controls the refueling stick when the planes refuel mid-flight. I don't know.
Like a bulk fuel specialist or something like that.
Sure, that yeah. I don't know what the thing is, but he's gone. Like he's lived all over the country. He lives in California now. He owns a house. He gets to travel all around the world. Like he's always posting pictures from like nice hotels. I know like, and something that like my dad and I talked about, and like his sister, my other cousin, worked in various parts of the Air Force. She didn't reenlist, but she spent a lot of time in Korea, in England, and those are like it was just I grew up in a very different life than they did. I was a lot more privileged than they were, and like it wasn't. It was like almost a. It was like how you felt like you had no other choice than the military. It wasn't an option for me not to go to college, um, and something that I didn't realize back then is how fast time moves, and and I don't know the exact amount of years, but I think if you do like what 20 years in the military, you can retire with like a great pension and benefits. And like obviously, it's oh you're doing data entry and life is great and you just gotta sit there for 20 years and get a whole bunch of money. You're putting yourself in terrible situations. Like you earn every cent of what you get, but I think it does offer a lot of people like a great life. Like you could retire at like 40, get a full pension, and then live like I'll be 40 in 6.5 years. If I retired in 6.5 years with a full pension, then went and did something else and was making two incomes, Like at 18, you just really don't know. Or I just didn't really think about that. So I think it's very smart because something I'm dealing with right now is like, I made a choice of what I wanted to go into for college at 18, and I'm probably not going to be doing anything with it with that specific degree. And I think it's a lot smarter if I had advice to give to someone who is that age is to do. I don't know if it would necessarily be the Marines. That terrifies me to this day. Um, but like to do something where you get to like figure out who you are, and like I know now you're going to school to be like a sign language interpreter, and like that would like that probably wouldn't have been in your top 100 of choices at 18.
No, not
No,
not no. I mean, I honestly just wanted to be a welder. Like that's really what it boiled down to. I really enjoyed welding and I liked it a lot. And I liked the hard work and everything about it. But
yeah,
yeah, I never would have thought I'd be in college at the age of 30. I never thought I would learn a second language, especially American Sign Language and whatnot. I never thought I'd be in the position I'm in right now.
right. And yeah, I think the tough part about the military is like the that you have to be like in like the like a train. I don't know how to put this. You have to put yourself in danger. If it wasn't for the danger, I think a lot more people would sign up. I mean, I feel like it does offer a lot, despite how scary it can be. I do you look back on being in the military fondly? Like, are you happy you joined?
Yes, I had like don't get me wrong, like when I got out, I was like bitter and like upset, and I was just very, very immature about things. But no, I don't regret my decision of joining, or even now, with not being in and just just doing what I do now in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Right.
don't.
So let's get into that though, because I want to. I just know nothing about the experience, and like the only thing I know about the military is like from what I've seen in movies, and like I used to watch like the Discovery show of like how to be a SEAL, like when they go through buds or something. It's just like it just looks so terrible. So like, how did you decide on Marines? Let me ask you that. How did you decide what service, what branch?
Well, I wanted to be a Navy Seabee. However, what had happened was I had issues at the debt program, and long story short, I was getting kicked out of my parents' house because like I just wasn't, like pretty much I it was, the recession, and my dad didn't understand, and he just thought I was gonna be a loser working at like being a dishwasher or something like that. So, and I was only 18, but so I had 2 months to get out, and the Marine Corps was able to get me out in a month. So that's why I chose it.
Wow, that's intense. So what? How quickly did you have to report to basic training?
Well, I was in the delayed entry program for a month, so like it was like a month later, I went to boot camp, and
Okay.
I reported in and and all that, went on the yellow footprints and everything. So
And how long? How does it work? So you go to a recruiter. How long do you sign up for?
it well for myself, it's 4 years, 4 years active, and then like there's a thing called like inactive reserves or something like that. Um, really don't know how that all goes about, but it's like technically you're not
On
a
call?
reservist. Yeah, you're on call essentially. You know what I mean? Like that's the best way to describe it, is like you're on call. I never went to any of the roll calls. I don't even like. I mean, it's not that I didn't want. Like I was really going through some really like just some really bad mental health stuff at the time. So but no, it's I did 4 years, and then like the inactive reserves for 4 years. So that, which is like, it's really nothing.
Are you still in that or no?
No, I'm technically no, I've been out of that for I think like 2 years now. So I'm literally like completely like out of Marine Corps. There's
Wow.
no like
There's nothing. There's no. Okay. So, did you sign up for a specific role, or did you just say I want? I'll be in the Marines and put me wherever you want?
it was just more like mama had 2 months to get the fuck out. So,
Did
so I,
it? If you didn't have that sort of time constraint, could you say like I want to do this or that, or are the Marines like if you're a Marine you're gonna fight you're gonna be a badass?
so technically when I joined, like females like weren't like in like now females are in the infantry, but like when I joined, like females technically weren't. Like they had like the FET program, the female engagement teams and the INS program, of course. You know, however, I never did any of that. But when I joined Marine Corps, it was anything. I wanted to be a welder. Like that was a big thing. They didn't. It's the Navy. I mean, the Marine Corps is not like the Navy where they have like like CBs like. So that's what I mean. That was like the whole goal. Like if I was gonna join the military, I wanted to be a Navy CB. However, I forget what contract I signed up for the Marine Corps. I think it was like the 1300, 1100 option, which is it's like construction utilities.
Okay, so you signed up knowing that you would go through basic training, like you'd have to be like you'd be prepared to be a soldier, like a infantry, but for the most part you wouldn't be doing anything like that on like a day-to-day basis.
No, so like as a Marine, like no, like so you prepare and all that. So you have like boot camp, you have Marine combat training. That's where they do more of the infantry type stuff, the hiking and whatnot. And honestly, it depends on your unit because as a female, I could have went to a grunt unit as well too, and they do hikes and all that. It depends on your unit, but like people still do hiking. I for I deployed to mainland Japan one time, and normally it was the Mew that did this thing called Forest Light. It was supposed to be 1-7 doing it. However, they were working up on a future deployment, and so we ended up doing that, which like I never thought I would be playing grunt. So I played grunt with a Japanese self defense force, so that was fun.
So what does grunt mean?
I have no clue. Like I
Like
honestly
when you say grunt, like what do you mean
like
by
if
it?
an infantryman, rifleman.
So when you were doing that, you were patrolling in Japan?
Yeah, mainland Japan. We were doing an exercise, so you're like it's an exercise. It's you're not like it's like a field exercise. So you go out in the field and like you patrol and whatnot, and like yeah, you play like. I mean, I wouldn't say like you're playing games, but you're simulating. You know what I mean? Like you're using sim rounds and stuff like that. We were shooting like we definitely went to the range and shot weapons and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Okay, so this was like so this is what years were you in the Marine Corps?
I was in from 2000 and was it 2000 end of 2009, 2000, 2010, 2013.
Okay. And I know I want to talk about boot camp first before I get
Okay,
too far ahead of myself.
I'm
Cuz that
sorry.
no. Vilma, for everyone watching and listening, Vilma has a habit of apologizing to me for not doing anything wrong. So go talk to Vilma on Facebook, Vilma Selage, and every time she says sorry, she has to do 10 push-ups. So we'll have her do push-ups at the end of the show and make sure she can still do all that stuff. So like boot camp, frankly, is the scariest part about it to me. And I know obviously like going out into like action like an active war zone is much scarier, but that like the boot camp, I don't think I'd last the first hour of boot camp. I really don't. Um what is how long is boot camp and like what is an average day like for you?
It boot camp was 13 weeks and an
Oh,
average day for myself. Like I was special, Lee. Like I was like the slow, like pretty much like I'm a slow talker sometimes. So like you have to yell a lot and all this stuff, and I have to stop and think about what I'm gonna say. So like I kind of pause and It's really not good in boot camp. I used to get like I was a quarter deck queen, so there's this thing called the quarter deck where it's near the drill instructor's hatch, the door. And what I would have to do is pretty much I'd be in a plank position for I don't know how long, but to get IT'd would forget which IT means, but it's like you're doing like V ups, you're doing push ups, you're doing all sorts of it's just
So you got in trouble a lot because you were slow
a
in like
little bit. I
responding?
mean, like I was just I'm a little
Well,
sassy at times.
oh my goodness. Oh jeez. I think I would just start crying. I would never. I'm private pile. That's who I am. Like
No.
down to the donut and like losing my shit at the end of it. So like let me. So I just meant more along the lines of like on a day that like if you're not getting in trouble, like is it just running, weightlifting, like shooting guns? Like what do you like? What is when you're not in trouble? What does boot camp look like?
So I'm getting ahead of myself, but second phase is where you're on the range, I believe. But like first phase, like believe it or not, boot camp isn't it's physical, but it's not as physical as you would think in a sense. Cause like we do run 3 miles, have to do 100 crunches, and you gotta do the flex arm hang. Males was 20 pull-ups, you know what I mean? And the thing is that it's more mental. I think Marine Corps boot camp is definitely it's more mental. Like they give you way more knowledge than you actually than believe it or not. I had one of a fellow recruit. She was prior service Army, and she was saying that like Marine Corps was more mental, and like they don't like she said they don't smoke check you as much. And it was like where they it's more mind games than physical in a sense, because it's like they know you could physically like handle it and make it for the most part, you know what I mean, like the
I
hikes and everything
I
else.
I've never been on one hike in my life, and I plan on dying having zero hikes. But what? Tell me, like, let me just ask this: like, what time are you waking up every day?
I honestly like we gotta be waking up at like 5 or 4 in the morning. I honestly
Oh,
don't know, because like you don't like I don't remember having like I bought a watch, like, but I don't remember like we weren't able to like keep watches really, or you know what I mean, I forget
so
like
every
what.
day they're just coming in like, wake up, motherfucker.
Dude, it's literally like wake up, wake up, wake up. You know what I mean? Like you hear like it's literally just like that. It's like so all you hear is like I think it's the fire watch is screaming wake up, and the drill instructors are going like ah, like they're like fucking geese. Like like how geese get all territorial and piss off, and like they like they start coming at that's exactly, and like they move their necks and shit, dude. Like that's exactly like
Oh my god, I'm never gonna look at a drill instructor the same way. They look like
they're
oh my god. Okay.
like an angry goose, like a Canadian geese, like just all that hatred, all that like they're full of spite and every it's like a Canadian goose in person, bro.
Oh my god. You know how much I hate flying birds. I don't like birds. You know that, Filma. So let me. This is something, and I know it's irrational, but I have snored for my whole life, and I just feel like if I like that would like sleeping in a barrack with a whole bunch of other people. I feel like I would get beat up. People would hate me because I would snore so much. How much snoring is there, or are you just so tired at the end of the day that people could do whatever? Like they're just passing out.
You're just I was so tired. I mean, like you just conk out, to be honest. It's just one of those. I never noticed anyone snoring unless I was on Firewatch.
Okay, what's Firewatch?
That's like pretty much Firewatch is just where you watch the barracks and whatnot, and you protect it from fires and anything else.
How
And you
often do you
have
have to do
like
that?
it's usually like a 2 hour shift.
But every night?
Yeah, every
Like
night, because
you have
it's
to do it
rifle
every night.
watch. You got to watch the rifles and everything, so you're accountable for the rifles and the locks.
But every
And
person does it every night.
yeah, like it's there's a list, but yeah, someone every 2 hours, everyone has to do it. So
Oh God. So what time were you, other than Rifle Watch or Fire Watch? What time are you done every day? You're starting at 5, and what time does your day go to?
I have no clue what time like they.
Is it after dinner? Like is it like
Oh yeah,
dark out?
after dinner. Like yeah, it's dark. It's usually it's got to be like 8 o'clock, 8:30 or something. Like
Oh God. And what about time off? Do you get like a day off, or is it just 13 weeks of you're fucking going every day?
no, so Sunday, unless you're like in the field to Crucible or whatever, Sunday is like the you got church and whatnot, and you got letters. So like I think it's like 2 hours of downtime or something like that.
So you get 2 hours a week of downtime.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I'm
Oh,
and I'm sorry, Firewatch was only 2 hours every person for when we had like we were out in the field, but when it's just regular Firewatch, like it's like an 8 hour shift. So like it sucks because then you get no sleep. Like there's
but it rotates. So like you do it like once every month or something, or once a week.
something like yeah, like maybe like you might get lucky and not have it. But yeah, like probably like once a month, once a week. It really depends.
Oh, okay. What's Crucible?
The Crucible is like the last thing like Marines do to earn their Eagle Globe and Anchor. So it's like a bunch of obstacles and whatnot. And there's different stations as well too. And a lot of these I want to say a lot of these stations are like Medal of Honor recipients, and I forget like I don't know if they're Navy Cross recipients as well, but there's like uh was it Jason
There's different
Dunham's.
things you have to do.
Yeah. There's this like I remember Jason Dunham's obstacle. Like I don't think it was like an obstacle course, but it was Jason Dunham's like little like there was like a little section in the Crucible about like Corporal Jason Dunham and whatnot, and he was a Medal of Honor recipient, and his birthday is actually on the Marine Corps birthday as well too.
Oh wow. So what sort of things are you like? Is it running? Is it like what sort of things are you doing in the Crucible?
You're running, you're hiking, you have obstacles. There's they have like a simulated I remember this is so long ago, but vaguely they'd have us like, like crawl through sand and whatnot, like through barbed wire and like, you got like rounds going like above your head.
Like real rounds, like in that movie where the guy stands up and gets hit. Is that real?
I don't think they do real rounds. They do blanks, I think. I think they do blanks. They
Okay.
do blanks now. But
Jesus.
like you gotta be careful with blanks too, because you could get killed with a blank as well. So I
Wait,
mean
I thought blanks was there's nothing in it.
there isn't, but like if you're like but 5 feet you could like but I mean like you could still like you need like the BZO thing or whatever. There's like a little like muzzle thing that you put on it. But yeah, you got like it's still dangerous, you know.
Oh
Like
God. See, that's
yeah,
why I'm glad no one trusts me with a gun. What? So how many people did you start boot camp with? Do you think roughly?
um probably start with maybe I wouldn't probably 60 females.
Okay. How did you see a lot of people quit and just give up? Is that possible? Are you allowed to do that, or are you like because the contract you're like you're in there and they'll just keep fucking with you until you pass?
Some people quit, some people just lose their fucking minds. That's more of a scary part is when it's not just the quitting part, but it's where like they're if someone's just completely mentally broken, and that usually happens like right before range week. So like usually people like thank God people crack right before range week and not like it's usually like sometimes during too. You gotta be careful because I actually there's a girl in boot camp. She cracked technically during range week because she unked, which meant she failed. Like so, and she got dropped.
What happens when you get dropped?
You got to be in another platoon, and you're probably like so it's like another month probably.
Oh God. Okay. Oh
It
God.
depends. Like, well, yeah, if you get dropped, it really depends on like when the others, like when you could get picked up and all that
So
stuff.
if
So
you get dropped, you have to basically not maybe not start over, but like your time is like okay, well you gotta go back until you can get this right.
yeah, like pretty much, for example, if you get dropped on the range, you're gonna stay in like I forget like this holding platoon until like they get you into a platoon that's like that's on the range or something like that, or you just Or like I knew someone that was like in third phase, and then they dropped that. I think they dropped back to like second. Like they, I forget where they dropped to, but like they're almost like gonna graduate, and they had like they got dropped, and they had to like stay for 20 extra days or something like that.
Oh God. So what is it that normally sets people off? Why do people break?
I mean, it's I think it's just because you're so exposed. It's very raw. It's very like I didn't realize how intimate actually boot camp is in a sense. It's just because just some things can break a woman, you know what I mean? Like just like the structure and everything else. I mean, I knew someone that was gonna, like this one girl, like think like we were right before range, like what I mean, and she cracked. I mean, she tried, like she cut her wrists, you know what I mean, like she cracked, man, like
And is it the people yelling at you? Is it like the physical stuff? Like what do you
I
think
think
is so it makes that? Because I think I would crack immediately. I think I would crack. I'd be the first egg to crack.
I don't I think it could be anything. I can't. It's a stressful environment too, and like the thing is though too. I mean, I think it could be. I think it's. I'm not saying it's not physical. It definitely could be physical because if you got like hurt, but like it always becomes mental. People do break mainly during range week. That's where you really break. Is if you don't make it and you unk, and you fail. You know what I mean? Like you're waiting a good bit, so that's usually where people do break sometimes, or like
And what you have to hit a certain number of targets or like what is the part of range week that's so tough?
it's just that it's with the Marine Corps. It's like you have to be able to shoot like from 500 yards as well too. So
Okay.
so you have to be able to shoot a target from 500 yards at least to qualify. You know what I mean? I forget how many points you need as a to qualify as a Marine, but there's an X amount of points, and there's like you start from I think the 300, and when you go on to the 500. I definitely It's been so long. However, there's like the quick fire stuff too. There's table one and table two. It's usually table one that gets people because that's the long distance where you gotta like like use your the ACOG and like why even I think they use the ACOG now. I mean, I used you gotta use iron sights when I was in boot camp.
So what are are these types of guns or like what is ACOG and iron sights?
It's for the like I think that's your scope.
Okay. Oh, you don't have to look it up. Okay, that it's a type of scope. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, because I
Sorry.
thought I know it's see there's 20 push-ups. Okay. So ha, when do you find out if you're passing if you get to graduate boot camp?
On the range.
So that's the last step is if you pass the range
No,
then you're done.
no. It's a crucible. I got confused for a second. No, it's pretty much once you once you're done with a crucible, that's like the culmination of everything. That's where you get your EGA. And that's if you make it through the crucible, you're good.
So how many if you had to guess if you started with 60 how many people were there when you graduated?
Easily between 35 to 40.
Wow, so like almost like 30% or more couldn't didn't graduate. That's wild. And are you? How do you feel when you graduate? Is it? Do you feel proud? Are you just happy it's done? What is it like when you graduate as a Marine?
Oh my gosh, it I cried so much. I teared up. Like you tear up when you get your EGA. And it's like I remember I that shower was so nice, dude.
Oh, you didn't get a shower for 13 weeks?
No, you got to shower for 13 weeks, but after the crucible, I mean, you're in the field for a couple days. So so when you come back, like you're gross and you're nasty, what I mean? So it's like it was really nice. And like we ate like a good meal too, like afterwards. And like and females are giving a like females are fed differently in boot camp compared to males. So like we actually don't get like we get turkey bacon and we get turkey sausage. We get like our diet like it fucking sucks. our diet's a
Why do they
little.
feed you differently?
I think it's just because like we get fatter in boot camp or something like that. It's just like I don't know,
You
like
you get fat in boot camp? I thought you'd lose a
that.
whole bunch of weight in boot camp.
Some people, I don't know, like females are different. Like the guys apparently like lose weight usually, but like the females, it's different. Some of them like still either like maintain their weight, and I think a lot of it's like the boobs too.
What about them?
Well, I mean, it's just the extra weight and whatnot. So I mean, like that's like the bust and whatnot. Because some women, like are just naturally like curvy in a sense. They can't help that.
Right. No, and God bless them.
Yeah. Yes.
So, and if you're not comfortable talking about this, I can take it out. But I know you're lesbian,
Yes.
and I don't I don't remember when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed. But was it what was your experience with that part being in the military? Was that tough? Was that okay?
So Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed in like 2011. I was technically still in the closet, so like I was still trying to like fuck the gay away, I guess you could say.
Oh, really? You hooked up with guys?
Oh yeah, oh my god, like I was engaged to a man when I was like 18 years old.
I didn't know that.
Well, I don't like because I advertised like, hey guys, like fucking 12 years ago, I was like with this douche canoe and like and I was engaged with him and I just what I mean, like I don't know, like
Was
I
he a
was just
Marine?
like he actually was a Marine and like it was so weird. He ended up joining the Marine Corps. Like we're like high school sweethearts and all this shit, but like he ended up like joining the Marine Corps and it was really weird. But yeah, he wasn't like the military type, but he ended up joining and like he
He
like
missed you, Vilma. He missed you. I don't blame him.
no, he joined first because he was older.
Oh, okay. So one thing that I've always been amazed by with the military is just something like it sounds simple, but like it would piss me off. I don't like how they're like, okay, well now you go here and you do this. Like, what is it like to just be told where you're moving, what you're doing? Like, is that hard? Did it take some getting used to be moved around? Or like, what is that experience like?
It can be. It's I felt like my body was on lease to the government for like 4 years. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because
and you couldn't argue with any of it. You're just like, okay, I guess I'm going here.
yeah, I mean, like you could complain, you could bitch, but it's not gonna do you any good.
Wow. And what? Because I know you mentioned Japan, but you also went to Afghanistan, right?
Yes, I almost called you sir.
Well, thank God you didn't. I would have to do push-ups if you called me sir. Um, I want to talk about Afghanistan, but where else did you go to? Anywhere else besides Japan and Afghanistan?
So I've also been to South Korea. I've been to Guam, um, Philippines, and then well, mainland Japan and Okinawa, Japan.
And what? And I know. Are you or were you in active war zones? Like, were you? Other, it sounds like maybe Afghanistan, but in the other places, were you just doing training essentially?
Yeah, it was just training and it was just more of like camaraderie building in a sense, like building was that we're international relationships or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, like strengthening like the bond between America and like, and like for example, like, like the military forces in Japan and like South Korea, like it.
And what would you do like on those sort of trips? Would you just like I don't understand what you did?
So my job was pretty much you ever watch a movie In the Army Now with Pauly Shore?
I haven't. I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
So that was my MOS, like was a fucking water sport technician. I was a fucking pool gal that also did security as well too. So
So
it's
you would clean pools?
no, so I would purify water. I was a fucking water purification specialist. So I would purify water, showers and laundry and stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay.
I
And
cried
why?
when I found out what my job was. I cried so hard because I was like, oh my god. I was like, what the fuck did I do? Like I was in such tears because I don't know, like everyone made fun of me like when they found out what my job was because it's like who the like this like you're like this exists, like you're just like you know, I mean, like it's like you feel like a fucking, it's like you feel like the super weenie hut, you know what I mean?
Well, hey, I couldn't handle it. But like, did you apply to be a welder, or did they just do they just choose where you go based off what they need?
It's pretty much they choose what, you know, like it's not in your hands. I mean, I signed the contract, so you know, it's 1100, 1300 options. So I had like, I forget like what chances of being a welder, but yeah, it just didn't
Wow.
work out.
And what? How long? When were you in Afghanistan, and for how long? And what did you do the water there as well?
Yes, so I was in Afghanistan from November 2011 to June 2012.
Wow. Did you know
It
you were gonna be
was,
there for that long when you got there?
yeah, yeah. You know how long your deployment's going to be. I was actually at Fob Nole in Afghanistan. That's it was like near like, I mean, it was like in or near Vasangan Valley. It was in Vasangan Valley actually.
And is that like a full on base? Cause I've heard of FOB. It's like forward operating base, and I know there's
Yes,
some that aren't as developed as other bases. Like, what was the base like?
it was definitely, it wasn't Leatherneck, but it was definitely more developed because there was like you know, like there's combat outposts that are a lot smaller, but like Nole was like the logistical hub of the Singin Valley. So it was a decent sized base, I think, like forward operating base. A lot of people would come in and out, a lot of convoys and whatnot.
And you would keep you would maintain like the water stuff.
Yes, I would maintain water and the laundry, and I would also provide security at night as well.
Wow. That must be scary. So like what you were at like the gate and like checking cars in? What does security mean?
So I did like interior guard. So actually I think that was post one where you would do that. So like you would have your choice of like certain posts. It was post 1 to 8. So you know, like to surround, you know, like the 360, you know, surrounding areas and whatnot. But you could choose your posts and whatnot. I would always choose like between posts. I used to do 6 sometimes, but primarily 7 and 8. I would do, sometimes I would do post 3 and post 2.
And what do those numbers mean?
So they're just ran. I think honestly, they're just ran. Like it's just there is 8 posts on, you know, so it's just numbers like 1 to 8. So
And
for each,
what were you checking? Or like what were you looking for?
well, your job is to defend the forward operating base. So I mean, it's, I'm looking for the enemy. I'm, you know, I'm not like literally looking, but I mean like you're in a guard tower and you're looking and you're watching out. You're looking for anything suspicious. You know what I mean? If there's,
How stressful is that? Because like that, it's not like you can sit there and play on your phone or like twiddle your thumbs. Like there's a lot on your shoulder for that time.
fun fact, only I don't, Marine Corps didn't get phones out there. I know the Army had cell phones, but like I remember a soldier gave me one of their cell phones when I was deploying out there. But like yeah, like we had to use like calling cards and whatnot to like to call our families. So we didn't, I didn't have like, you know,
Oh,
like,
okay, but I just meant like it's a very intense job. Like so
oh,
like
super.
and what happened? Like did you ever have to like would you have to shoot or would you like hit a button and alert people that you needed help?
Well, I mean, if you felt like you were gonna get ran over, like, you know, like overrun, I mean, yeah, like you'd have to radio it in. But yeah, no, you're the line. No, you're the one that's gonna be, you're the line of defense. You're the one that's gonna be putting that bullet into someone. That's your job.
Wow, and so you were there in 2009. Was it
No,
a no?
2011,
2000
2012.
I'm sorry, yeah. What what was your experience like? Was it calmer during that period? Was it did you was there a lot of action? Like what was that like for you?
It was there was a lot of booms, so there was a lot of IEDs where I was at. It
Oh my
was
god.
our rules of engagement were really rough in a sense, you know what I mean? Like as in like it, our rules of engagement were a lot stricter. So it's like you needed 2 out of 3 like positive identification. Like there had to be a threat, and pretty much it was like they had to be like basically it felt like they had to be pointing the rifle at you before you could do anything. It was, what I mean, like
Wow.
it was it like that's what bothered me most about like post was like our rules of engagement. So I was more nervous as in like you didn't realize that my whole thing was like what if something happened but my back's not covered, you know what I mean? Like it's, like I did something wrong in a sense, now I'm gonna go to the brig. So I was definitely worried of like if something
Oh man.
war, but like if something actually happened.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna do the whole like the cliche thing of like asking if you ever shot anybody. Um, I don't
Never
think
killed
that's
a manly.
okay. I wasn't gonna ask. I felt like that was not my business, but um,
I like I was, thank God. I like it's like that I never had to do that. But I mean, like, was I in positions to fucking kill people? Like, yes, the fuck I was. You know, and I mean, like, don't get me wrong, there I had close calls and shit, you know what I mean? But I'm more fucked up because of like the psychological warfare and like what snipers can do to like the mind in a sense. But
right. I mean that's what I was gonna add. Like that's it's a lot to put on somebody, especially when you're so young. It's like early 20s. Like you have to decide if someone lives or dies, and it's not just that. It's like y- you have to do it because they're putting you in danger potentially.
like they use kids as weapons out there. That's the hardest part, you know what I mean?
What does that mean?
Like I mean, little kids will have like they'll use kids as weapons in a what I mean, like you don't know if a kid's gonna like is gonna kill you in a sense, or is gonna have like, and I might be planning a suicide bomber, or, you know what I mean, like you don't know. You have like you have to be very, I mean, like you have to be like very like mindful in a sense. But it's very it was very nerve-wracking, like what I mean, because it's like I was never
Did you
I
have anybody else in the tower with you to help you make these decisions, or you just by yourself making every decision?
sometimes you're by yourself, but you have a radio, of course, and you have like like you have rules of engagement and all that. But like, yes, when I did post at night, like it was I had someone else with me, of course. And like the thing is though too, we had a roving post. So instead of just staying in the guard tower, you had to get out of a guard tower and roam to another guard tower
Oh God.
because and the thing is and you're roaming, it felt like no man's land because you're between two berms, you know what I mean, and you're just making this walk. But you know it used to fuck me up, like when people ask me like you ever killed anyone, and it's like, man, no, like, and it's like, why am I this fucked up in my head and I never did anything that crazy yet, you know what I mean? So
Well, I think you were being hard on yourself, Thelma. I think just the fact that you were put into the scenario where that was like, I've like people could ask me if I ever killed anybody. It's like no, and I never. It was never even an option. Like it was never going to be something that I was faced with. And but for you, it's like that's a long, almost year of like being at like a 10 stress wise. It feels like you. It doesn't sound like you could really relax at
no, I
all.
never thought well, I never thought I'd be doing that anyways. I mean, it's like I used to always I every time before post I always had to take a shit actually.
Oh yeah, that sounds like it sounds like on a very minuscule basis. Like I sometimes my stomach's fucked up before I go on stage or something. So like
Yeah.
it's not like it's that's wild. And I know that sometimes like you get extended? Like, were you worried that you have to spend more time in Afghanistan? Like, did you knew you were gonna get out? And like, were you excited to get out? Like, it doesn't seem like, because I listened, and just so everyone knows, and I would have said this in the intro, Vilma hosts a great podcast called Life of a Veteran. And I know that, like, on one of the last episodes, she had someone named Doug on, who's like, I went because I wanted to blow shit up and like be like a tough motherfucker. Like, that doesn't seem like who you are. I'm not saying you're afraid of it, but like that's not like your motivation. Um, when like what was it like when you were like I'm leaving Afghanistan, and then, like you were almost done, it seems like, with your tour, with like your 4 years, like what was that feeling like when like you're on the plane and like out of there?
I felt like I left a piece of me out there. Just felt empty. I didn't want to leave in this. I mean, I did want to leave, but it was more of like you know, it was everything made sense out there. It didn't matter like what happened, and all the crazy times. I remember the first IED that blew up in front of my, like, not like in front of my face, not like that close, but I mean like it was enough like where you feel like the wave and whatnot, you know what I mean? Where it's like when you inhale, when I remember smoking that cigarette and I inhaled it, like it was like it takes your breath away. I mean, it really does. It took, it took my breath away. That and I remember I was like, this is fucking go time. Like this is go time. Like of all times to be chill, like this isn't the time, Fran. You know what I mean? Like, like now it's, like now it's go time. It's different. I remember I was more meaner when I came back too. Yeah, I'm a very I wouldn't say hippy dippy, but like I'm, I'm like a spider kind of, like don't fuck with me, you know what I mean? Like I got fangs too, baby, like
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't fuck with you. I mean, I can't imagine what that does to somebody. Just being on edge, like your life is in danger, all your friends' lives are in danger. You're thousands of miles away from home. I just can't even at all relate to it. I just have nothing in my I can't. That would be the worst time. I would have just been in a ball on the floor crying for the entire time I was there.
I remember it was I remember when it was just like I remember I was so tired when I came back for like my deployment. Like like I was definitely burnt out, and I was just I I don't regret my time, and it's just it's honestly it's hard to talk about this stuff. It's hard to talk about, like the like whether or not I killed someone, or didn't kill anyone, whether like how it was out there. And I just we I'll never forget hearing like all the IEDs. And you don't know if it's not like, what's really rough is when it's like, it's not a controlled detonation. It's like I forget what time they would do controlled deaths, but if you heard IEDs at like 6 a.m., you're like, fuck. Like like it would tear me the fuck up, because you're just like, fuck, dude, it's one of our guys, man. Like, it's like, or like someone's getting, like, or you hear like the A&A post game lit the fuck up, and you're just like, fuck, dude, and you're just like, they're like, all right, like it's just fucking go time, bro. Like, I don't know, what I mean? Like, it's just, it's like, yeah, I just purified water and shit, and I just chilled in a guard tower. But I mean, it's definitely, what I mean?
No,
Like,
no, you didn't.
the
You didn't.
guys,
You didn't chill in a guard tower. You like I chill on a couch. You didn't. No one chills in a guard tower.
sometimes it's chill, bro. Sometimes like it's
No.
honestly, and when the moon is out, it's beautiful. Like honestly, like there's no light pollution, and you're just out there in the moonlight. Like you could get a fucking moonburn, bro.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I never thought about it like that.
Sunburn, moon. But I mean, like either way, like I mean, it's if you ever get the chance, Lee, I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
no, you're not. No, no, this is for you. You can tell me whatever you want.
Afghanistan is truly a beautiful. It's where I was is beautiful. Yeah, honestly, it was biblical. They lived in mud fucking huts, Lee.
I think Afghanistan's a little far down on the list, especially right now. I don't think I'll ever. Hopefully, I'll never get a chance to go to Afghanistan. Um, what? So like, as a Jewish person and someone who spent 6 months in Israel, like I feel like I get sometimes people like not attack me, but they'll like they get in your face about Israel and like you have opinions on it, and I think it's always different when you're there. So like when I was there, I was around Israelis and some of them had issues with like Palestinians and like Palestinians doing certain things, and I'm sure if I spent time with Palestinians, they'd have issues with the way Israelis did things. When you came back, what were your thoughts on like Afghanistan and the people and like has that changed since you've like had some time in between?
I love the people. It's I honestly I was pissed off at Americans. When I came back home, I was so mad at the average American. I was so mad at America for not caring, about these people and about, like the cause out there and it, and like just how privileged, like America, like is, like, and just I I was I was so upset, man. You thought I was French or something like that. The way I was just like I was just like, it was just, what I mean? Like I was just so utterly, perplexed about like why like we're so spoiled. And then I was like, I'm spoiled. I'm entitled. And then I got like, and then there's a lot of self-loathing on my end.
Wow.
So never towards the Afghanistan people by no means.
Wow,
I wish I could do
that's
more
big of
for them.
you. That's big. I can't I wouldn't cuz you had friends who passed away. And I think it would be very understandable if you're like, "Well, fuck these people and I hate them." And it's
No.
that's you mentioned like mental stuff when you came back. How hard of a transition is it to like go from Afghanistan one day and then you're just back in your apartment in Ohio or something? Like what is that transition like?
Well, I did have taps and tams and all that. So when I came back, my unit came back to Ninth ESB back in Okinawa, Japan. So I was probably I think I had like maybe 6 months left, 6, 7 months left in the Marine Corps. And yeah, the transition was hard for me. Um, like my chain of command all knew that, like I had issues and I mean, I was very, like I was very on edge. I was very paranoid in a sense, you know what I mean? And and it was just a lot obviously a lot of it's like irrational fears and shit,
It's not. I don't know if irrational. It sounds very rational. I don't think
like
you have to qualify any of that. How I think everyone's heard of like the VA and like have different opinions on how it's run, and I'm not asking you any of that, but like how has the process been for you in working on your mental health?
so I'm very fortunate to be in Cleveland, Ohio at the Cleveland VA because that's they do a lot of post-traumatic stress. Like I think it's like they're like the main hub or something like that for like PTSD and like like veterans. So it's like I know Cleveland is a like I'm just very fortunate to be able to have post-traumatic stress disorder in the state of Ohio, specifically Cleveland. Um, he's like there. I did go to a residential program down in Fort Thomas, Kentucky, which is actually the best for females. So
How long were you there?
I think I did about 8 weeks in a residential program for post-traumatic stress disorder.
And what did they? How did they help you?
So I did a lot of cognitive process therapy. So like every day was like a lot of therapy, a lot of talk therapy, a lot of group stuff, a lot of uh um like individual therapy as well too. Depending on like if you're gonna file for like I think like unemployment and other things due to mental health stuff, like they help you out with that too. And there's a thing called the domiciliary. So like when veterans are just going through hard times or being homeless, it's pretty much like the equivalent of like a homeless shelter for veterans only.
And you would work there?
No, I didn't work there. I was technically on the second floor. So the domiciliary was in the first floor at Fort Thomas, Kentucky. So that's you stay like on a special floor and whatnot. I was inpatient, so I was there for 8 weeks. I wasn't, I wasn't working, you know what I mean?
How do you feel? What are your thoughts on how this country treats veterans? And I know there's a lot of homeless veterans, and what are your thoughts on all that?
I'm honestly I'm like 50-50 about it because it's like like there's times where I'm like it's great, but like I know there's like certain things that do need to get tied up, like like veteran homelessness and and how the VA handle things though too, and like the backlogs and whatnot, and sometimes like sometimes some people are working in the VA with not good intent, not like the best intentions,
What are they trying to do?
well I just think some people like are like don't pick a job where you're not passionate. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at, you know what I mean?
Right, they're just there for like the government job or something.
Yeah, like where it's it's just maybe you're just there for a paycheck or a good pension, I don't know, but I the VA's been really good to me. That's a problem, like where I like where it's like I've been very fortunate, but it's
Not everyone has the same experience.
yeah, and well, like the thing is though, too, you practically have to lose damn near everything before I mean, like it's one of those things where it's like you have to, I mean, like my shit was really bad, and there's people that are have it way worse off than me. However, like it's just, I think some of it has to deal with bureaucracy, and I've just been very fortunate. I mean, I just spoke with a friend earlier, and he just he needs to speak to a patient advocate, like just because of the maltreatment, like he was receiving, I mean, it's like, it's not like you get to really choose your doctors.
Right. I just think it's crazy. Just from my point of view, like paying taxes. I haven't had a tax deduction in like 10 years. I've been self-employed, and the amount of money that I know a lot of like everyday people pay, and everyone pays in taxes other than like the
Yeah.
super rich. It's it's tough to see other stuff getting money spent on, and like hear a lot of stories of, oh, the VA is backed up, or like I know someone in Boston recently died and was like in the stairwell of the VA for like a month, but like the stairwell was maintained by a different company, and the VA like they just, no one checked the stairwell for a month. And it's just I'm very grateful that there are people like you who are protecting like pussies like me,
Oh,
because
I'm a
I,
pussy too.
well, no, you're not. I what I want to end with, which is something that I've seen with like the podcast that you do, which again is Life of a Veteran. Everyone go check it out, and just the interaction that you have with Brad. Vilma and Brad are both members of my Patreon. And we're gonna take a walk in like 25 minutes. I I see the relationship that you two have, even though you've never met. Oh no, you did meet. You got coffee. You did meet, which is awesome. But what is, even without say Brad, but like when you see someone else who you might not know, but who's a Marine, like what's the relationship of like veterans? Like, can you talk about like what it's like to be a veteran?
There is a camaraderie. There is I feel like kindred spirits, I guess. You know what I mean? Like it's and I've noticed throughout my years of like just living, I noticed and being out of the Marine Corps, Marines are like a different breed of people actually. Like
Absolutely, yeah. You're not humans. You're fucking marine. It's.
I'm God's gift.
You are. You really are.
No,
Uh,
I know I am. And like
Good. I'm glad you know that.
and like and folks, I have like no self-esteem, and but I'm over here like, no, I'm God's gift because I am a Marine and I know that. But other than that, it's it's I don't know, like it's like this unspokenness, because before I used to be like really weird about like the whole like camaraderie thing, but that was literally like that was my own personal issues, and that had nothing to do with the military in a sense. But it's it's like seeing a cousin or something like that's, you know, or seeing like a long lost relative, you know what I mean? Like it's like everyone, you know, like it does feel, I mean, it is family, you know, like there is that bond, especially and like Brad's a thank God for Brad, man, because like
Yeah.
he keeps me like he keeps me level headed, man.
Brad will be on this podcast. Brad's a former Marine, or no, I'm sorry, I'm not. I know I said that once, and that's gonna get me in trouble. Brad's a Marine, and he's a veteran, and he's one of the funniest people that I've met. He has 1,000 stories. I would have loved to get both of them on here together, but I wanted to. If there's any veterans out there or current military out there, and I know there are, I think Vilma's podcast is important because I've been listening to it, and it just the stories I've been able to hear with Doug, and I forget the girl's name,
Is
but
he?
yes, thank you. um I think if you're a veteran out there, if you have someone in your life who's a veteran, I can't recommend Life of a Veteran enough, because I just heard, like, as much as all the questions I asked you, you're probably like, oh, he's asking stupid questions. Um, I I just think that it's upsetting when I hear about veterans having problems or mental issues, and I think that your podcast could be very helpful in shining a light on that. So it's Life of a Veteran. You can listen to it everywhere. She's going to get a YouTube page up. I've been on her butt about that, and that will happen.
It is
Um,
up.
oh, it is up. You didn't tell
Yeah,
me that.
no, you
Oh no,
subscribed and you
I
commented.
did subscribe. Maybe I like look, this is I apologize. That is the marijuana effects on me. You have started putting up on YouTube. I apologize. It is up on YouTube, and I have commented on it. For some reason, I thought maybe that was just on Facebook, but you posted it on Facebook, and that's where I saw it. So now you can watch on YouTube Life of a Veteran with Vilma Selledge. Vilma, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Lee. It's a blessing.
Thank you to Vilma for coming on again. I really do appreciate it. Go check out her podcast, Life of a Veteran. You can watch and listen to it everywhere. I'm sorry that I made that mistake at the end. I forgot that she had YouTube, but she does. She has YouTube. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, it's there. And like I said, anyone who's a veteran or has a veteran in their life, it's a great podcast for you. And it's just nice. What I got from that conversation is how lucky I am that I don't have to be in the military, because the thought of doing what she was talking about in Afghanistan, patrolling and being in a guard tower and being on edge for that long, is so scary. That's the only way I know how to put it. It's just so scary, and I'm thankful that I have people like Vilma, that are badass and let me eat snacks and scratch my butt. That's all. That's all I can handle. That's the level of stress I can handle at this moment. So thank you very much to Vilma of the Life of a Veteran podcast. Great person, and I'm just so happy that I got to introduce you to her. Thank you very much again to Sheath Underwear. That's sheathunderwear.com. Promo code Syatt, Syatt, to get 20% off of your first order. That's sheathunderwear.com. Promo code Syatt. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will be back next week, probably from Florida, by the way, with a brand new What Was I Thinking podcast.